by females versus males. Okay. Okay. Which service is being used the most? All right, that's good. Okay. Total number of clinics. Okay, that's true. Okay. Total number of people per day. And again, males versus females. Okay, this is great. Condom distribution by district. Okay, let's just say service accessed by district. Okay, that's nice. Number of health centers by district. Is that important? I'm not sure about it. We already know number of health centers by district. Oh yeah, so testing by district, that would be like each service accessed by district. Okay. Ratio of males to females that use the service. Oh, that's very interesting. Let's put that ratio of males to females by district, like percentage of males to females by district. How many percent of clients were satisfied? Okay, percent of clients by satisfaction. Okay, it's important. Thank you so much. That's important. Okay. The percent by satisfaction, that's important. What clinics have visited the most and compare relationship with satisfaction? Okay. Clinics visited and compare satisfaction for each clinics. Number of males and females who got tested. I think we use services. Oh, okay. Number of testing. Number of people visiting the clinics. Service being used. And more number of clinics. Okay. Testing. Number of males. Okay. Testing. Males versus females. We have lots of questions, as you can see. Date of visit. So number of people by date, I guess. Total number of people per day. Okay, we have that already. Okay, we do have really, really important questions here. Now, from these questions, now you need to create the story. Remember, to create a story, we need, first of all, to think, okay, what are the most important figures that we want to show? Okay, what are the most important figures that we want to show? And those are gonna go at the top. And then forward from that is going to be, so what are the more detailed information about those figures? Okay, and then we can have even more details below that. So let's focus on, or let's do that kind of arrangement. Okay, now from my own analytics mind, I believe that from the data, the most important things to tell will be dependent again on who are you, who is the audience for this dashboard. So I feel like the most important things we really need to show here at the far top is total number of clients, right? I think that's the most important thing that we want to have. Total number of clients that we have, that we've served. That's a very important. It should sit right at the top. Okay. One other thing I think we need here is okay. We have total number of clients. That's good. What else we want to have? Okay. What else do we want to have here? We have total number of clients. Maybe total number of clinics. Okay, done. Okay, this is obviously, as you can see, extremely important. Those are the high level figures that for certain people, you just want to know, okay, how many clinics have we done and how many total number of people have we reached? These two are extremely important figures there. So I think that's great. So total number of clients, total number of clinics done. Let's see, what else would we want to find out from here, especially if you look at the client side? Okay, we might want to maybe have average age Okay, like just have it right at the top. I don't know where I'm writing at this point. This is too many nodes on my screen. Okay. Excuse me, here I have no idea. I have too many notes on my screen and I can't really figure out which one is the one that I want to show. Kind of lost. Okay. All right, I know what to do. Okay, here we go. And yeah, so next up we have maybe, okay, we've said average age, okay, of clients. Average age of the clients, I think we need that. So the number of people who've accessed condom sex in VMMC, like all of these, I think let's have these three as the top, you know, values, and then we're gonna go into details after that, okay? So, as we know, okay, I always like to have the KPIs at the top, the key performance indicators, and I always like to use the cards, okay? I could use the gauges if I wanted to, because let's say I want to show how further we are from our targets. I could use the gauge, part of KPIs, but I'm gonna use a new card here. So I'm gonna insert my new card. Now I'm gonna just push it downwards, because right at the top, if you remember, at the top left, we wanna have the logo, and then from the logo, we wanna have the filters right at the top. So I usually leave the top side for the filters and the logo. So I'm just gonna put them right here. I'm gonna extend this like so. And what I'm going to do is now I need to do total number of clients. And as we remember, we wanna do, we would always like to do measures for that. So how do we find the total number of clients? Okay, we need to understand the structure of our table. So in this table, each row represents a specific client. So we can just count the total number of rows that we have here, you know, to get the total number of clients, or we could count the index or count the parent, or count the submission ID, and that should give us the total number of clients. I'm gonna count the index here. So I'm gonna right click anywhere there, select new measure. We know how to write measures. I'll say total number of, or let's just call this clients. So clients equals count, and it's gonna be a count of the index column in the clients table. Okay, I'm gonna choose that, close bracket, okay, and I press enter. That gives me that. The next thing I need to have is the total clinics done. And again, we need to understand the structure of our data. And from the structure of our data, we know that the clinics table, each row represents a single clinic. So again, we can count the index in the clinics table. So I'll right click here, choose new measure, and I'll call this clinics, which is going to be equals the count of the clinics table, specifically the index column in that clinics table. So I choose that, close bracket, and press enter. That's gonna give me that. And finally, we need the average age of the clients. And we know that we have the age column in the clients table. So again, we could just go ahead and average that. So we can say new measure. And here we're going to say average age. And from that, we're just gonna say, okay, the function is gonna be the average, and it's gonna be the age column in the clients table. Simple as that. Just gonna select that and press enter. Now, if you remember, we tackled all of this. We already know how to create visuals. Yes, we already know how to create our measures and columns and things like that. And there we go. We could add another thing. We could add, for example, what was the average number of services that every single person came for? We could do that. And we just have to calculate a column that counts the total number of services each client came for. So for example, if we add 1 + 1 here, that gives us 2, which means that specific client came for 2 services. So we can just add these 2, create a new column for that. Okay, so I can, like within here, I can right click anywhere and select new column, and I can say total services. And then I can say total services is going to be the condoms column plus maybe the testing column, and then plus the VMMC column, like that. Okay, total services equals clients column plus, sorry, the condoms column, the testing column, then the VMMC column. It's going to say this plus that plus that. It's going to give us the total number of services accessed, and that gives us that. And we could, get an average of that. We can say, okay, what's the average of the services? So I can right click here and choose new measure. And here I can say average services, and say that's going to be the average of the new column that we've created, which is the it has to be in the clients column, sorry, in the clients table, and that's the total services column, and I'll close the bracket like that. Okay, so average services will be the average of this column, the total services column. Press enter, that gives me that. Now I have my 3 measures that I want to use, so I can just grab the total number of clients, so the clients, I drop it there, and then the average, sorry, I can get the clinics second, drop it there, and then I can get the average age, and then average total number of services accessed. And now, because this is only showing 3 at a time, I can go to the format, and then I can go to layout, and max cards shown. I'm going to choose that I want 4 to be shown at a time. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and just, I'm just going to leave this with the neutral colors for now, and we're going to format this later. Okay, let me save this. I'm going to call this session 5, and then I'll click on save. So as you can see, we have, in terms of visual interest, we're not there yet because this is so gray and so boring. But in terms of the most important figures, we have the most important figures at the top. And the next thing I would love to do is to see how we can filter that information, because we need to have filters that will give us a bit of interactivity in our data. So let's look at that. So we can look at our questions that we would like to answer, and basically figure out what are the kind of text columns that are of interest for most of our stakeholders who want to see this dashboard. Now you see that most of our stakeholders are talking about the district. Okay, we have district there, and they're also talking about gender. We have males versus females. So we could use those, and we also have the time factor as well. So those 3 things could be, of interest as our slicers, or our filters. So I'm gonna do that now. So what I'm gonna do is I'll grab a slicer. So right here. So right here on our visualizations, I'm just gonna go slicer. Okay. And I'm going to make it smaller, and I put it right at the top. As we have seen, we want to have most of our slices, the most important slicers, right at the top like that. I'm going to put this slicer there. And my first slicer is going to be about the gender. I'll grab the gender and put it there, and I'm going to have this, that. Okay, that's okay. Okay, I could leave it like that, but I like buttons. So I'm going to go to the format your visual. I go to slicer settings, and in the style, instead of vertical list, I'm going to choose the tiles so that these look like buttons. Now we know that female and male is gender, so there's no need for us to have the title there. So once again, I'll go to format your visual, and I'm going to go to journal, and where I have let's see here, I think it's still in the visual where we have slicer header. I'm just going to turn off the slicer header there. It's not necessary. We know that the values female and male belong to gender. And then I'm going to just copy this and paste it again, just so that we can have the exact same formatting applied to the other one. And I'm just gonna move this around like that, make it, I don't know, make it a bit smaller. And that's going to be for district. So let's go for district. Okay, where is it? It's in the clinics table. So I'm just gonna grab district and throw it there. Okay, let's undo. I'm just gonna remove gender and grab district and put it on the field. Okay, so now we have our 2 districts looking good. We can make this a little bit smaller just to save space. Right there, just make this a bit smaller, male, female. Here we go, Chihuahua, Lilongwe, and something like that. I'm just gonna make them a bit smaller. Too much space there, move things around, but we should still have space in between of the 2, just so that it's easier to see that those are different things. And finally, I need the date of the clinic, and I'm just gonna use another visual, another slicer, sorry, not card rather, but a slicer. And I'm gonna grab the date of visit and I'll throw it there. And by default, that creates a timeline, which is a filter for time. And I'm gonna go in the formatting here, and I'll remove the slicer header, because again, we know that's time, so no need to show that. So I'm just gonna position that right there. I'm gonna position that, make sure everything is showing up clearly. I'm gonna make this a bit smaller because we need to have our logo and stuff of that nature. So we have all our filters at the top. Everything is going great. I can filter by district, so I'm able to see that district. I can filter by that district. I can filter by gender, so male, female, something like that. I can combine gender and district. I can choose the specific dates here, so something like that. Okay, there's no data there, and that's the data we have there, and so on and so forth. So our filters are working perfectly well, and that's great. So now our dashboard is coming out, and it's telling the story. Right now, of course, we haven't yet put everything together, because we now need to go into greater details, and we will do that down here. Do we have any questions up to this point? Abba, I can see your hand up. Maybe you can share with us in the chat because of time limitations. Can you share in the chat, tell us what question you have? But as you can see, I always like to have the filters right on the top right, and next to because the filters are very important. So next to our logo, I'm going to show you how to insert the logo, and below that we have the key performance indicators, and that's what I'm showing there using the new cards, which is nice. Then we want to go into even further details, and then we'll see. Yeah, we'll go into further details there. Okay. Questions? Anything else? Questions? No? All right. If you have a question, please drop it in the chat for the sake of time. That'll be appreciated. Okay. Now let's move ahead. Now remember that we're able to filter by district. Okay. So everything is working well here because we have this relationship going on here. It's very important. If you see that you're clicking and it's not filtering down here, that's just because the relationships, and you haven't set up the relationship. So yeah. Obonyo Anthony, you say, how can I make in the report? I'm sure you wanted to say something, but you haven't been able to express that very well. Can you please maybe edit the question again so we can understand what you'd like us to say? Okay, several questions. How to calculate the average service and the slides, how that looks like range? Okay. And then somebody say, you talk about the title of the dashboard. I thought the title should be on top. Yeah, we'll put the title on top. Don't worry about it. We're getting there. We're getting there. We'll put the title, we'll put the logo, and you see we have a space on the left-hand side here, and that's for the title. Like I've said, that's going to be for the title. Making this a bit smaller, so then we have enough space for the title on the top left. How did we calculate this average service? Okay, I'm just gonna click on the average service measure here and show you. So this is, I think I'm just gonna, first of all though, okay. First of all, we made this calculated column. First of all, we made that calculated column, and then we made this measure here, and I'm pasting that in the chat so you guys can, and see that. So there you go. Okay, hope that answers your question. Then let's move ahead. Okay, so now we already had a question about the title and the logos. So I guess let's do that. So I'm gonna start by inserting a logo, and the way you do that is go to insert. And when you go to insert, you go to image. So image, and I need to go to where I have images. Give me a second here. I think I need to jump very quickly to where I have my images. And format, and okay, let's see. Okay. Excuse me, and I need to find where I have my logos. Apologies for this. Okay, where is my folder for logos? Okay, apologies for taking too long for this. Okay. I think I'm good with that. So images, and okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab one of my logos in here. We use this one, and it inserts a logo. I can make it a bit smaller right there and position it where I want it to go. So here we have my logo. I'm gonna put it like that. Okay, that's it. We have an image, and that's that. I want to have the title, so you go to insert and choose text box, and here I can say SRH project dashboard. I'm just gonna call it that. Just type in, select that, change the font size to the size that you want, and you can change the font, the actual font itself. You don't have too many options here, because remember, your dashboard is gonna work online, so you're gonna have to choose fonts that work online. And Sego UI is good. I like it. What other? Verdana is nice as well. I like it. I can choose Verdana. You have Courier New, no, not Courier New, no, not Courier New, not Console Ads. These are monotype fonts. They don't look good, but you do have Cobel, which is very nice. So I'm just gonna choose Cobel and make it bold, and resize this, and no, let's resize this nicely. And then we can click on the border, and then move it and put it somewhere where we want it to show up. So sorry about that. And and I can put a line here just to show spacing between the logo and the title. So I can do that by going to shapes and choose a line. It's gonna be a line like that, and let's see if we can make this line not horizontal but vertical. Okay. I need the controls to make this vertical. Let's see if we have that in the shape. Rotation. We have rotation there, and we can rotate this. I think we need to rotate this to 180 degrees. Is it 180 degrees or is it 90 degrees? I don't know. I think 90 degrees. And we have a line going upwards, and then make it smaller. I'm gonna put it right there. Okay, I know the colors are not really giving. I will change the colors, but as you can see, our dashboard is already looking nice. It's working, right? It's working. Okay. Do we have any questions in terms of? So let's build our dashboard. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to the questions that we asked, right? Because that's what we're using as a source of the decision making in terms of what kind of visuals we want to have on our dashboard. So now people are interested in basically looking at the comparison of a total number of clinics in terms of males versus females. Now we already have that information, okay? We already have that information in terms of like we can use these filters for that. But what I'm going to do is I think I'm interested in looking at the time factor. So we can look at the total number of clients, males versus females, over time. Okay, total number of clients, males versus females over time. I think that's one important detail that we can add. Okay, so let's put the time factor in. And as we've learned from the previous, like from the last week workshop, the time factor comes in using a line chart. So I can use a line chart here. Okay, and it has been inserted right there. Gonna, make this a bit smaller. Use, okay, we want things to align perfectly well, if you remember that. Now, what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to, like, we have total number of people. So I think that's under here. We have clients. So I want the clients there. So I'm going to put there the total number of clients. So we have clients that's on the y-axis. And then I want to show them over time. So we're going to get the date of visit and drop it on the x-axis. So we have the time factor on the x-axis. But then we want to break it down so we can compare between males and females. So I can grab the gender and put it in the, of course, we do have a secondary axis if you want to, but I want to put that in the legend. So I'm going to grab the gender and put it in the legend. That's going to give us 2 lines. So we have one for the males and the other one for the females. It's not looking very great because I think we, at some time point, we didn't have like enough people. So as you can see here, but don't worry about that. As we are receiving more data, we are going to, that's going to look perfectly fine. I'm just gonna move this up and there we go. Not really looking very nice because, this has these borders, but this one doesn't have the borders. Okay, we can, add that later. You can see we're basically going with this border kind of thing. So I can select that and go to format your visual and go to general, and then under the effects, turn on the visual border, and it actually shows up like that. I'm going to change it so it fits with the rest of everything else. Here we go. Sometimes it's difficult to align. Okay, you can use Alt to, remove snapping for a while. As you can see here, just press the Alt key as you are resizing so that it doesn't snap to the edges. Something like that. I can, move this again like that, and it lines up. And now, you can see that the border is not necessarily like the same in terms of colors with the rest of the border. So I can go back to general, go to effects, and go in the visual border, and the color, I can change that to a gray that looks like this one. And I think that's not the one. Let's go back, visual border. Let's take the second one. Not the one as well. I think it's the third one. We're gonna have luck here. General, effects, and visual border. I think 1, 2. Let's take the third one, and that's it. So it's the third one, and it looks pretty much similar. But as you can see, the title is, knocking against the border. So we don't want that. I'm gonna go to the settings, and I'm gonna go to general, and we go to properties because we know that's padding. We talked about it already. And top bottom, I'm gonna add some 10 pixels padding. Okay, 10 pixels all around. Let's actually do 10 pixels, so 10 there, 10 there, and 10 there as well. So that gives us a little, more room inside of that, and that looks great. I love that. I love that. Okay. We still want even more information. So let's look at, so we have the time factor dialed in. We have, comparison of total number of males versus total number of females by the date, which is great. And what else do we want to have here? So let's come up with another kind of visual that we would want. Okay, so we have information about the specific services that were, being accessed. So we have like, we have males versus females, and in terms like total, basically in terms of like the different kind of services that they were, accessing there. So we might want to know, okay, how many people accessed these services, this service versus that service versus that service. And I don't know if it's possible we can show that as well, broken down by gender. That would be nice. So let's see if we could do that. Okay. Now, one thing I know for sure is if I grab, let me actually grab the clustered column chart. It's gonna be inserted right there, and in fact, for the sake of sizing, I'm just gonna copy and paste this and put it on the other side so it's exactly same size. And then what I'm going to do is change this visual to a different visual. Let's start with the clustered column chart, and we're gonna remove the fields because we're gonna have to throw in other types of fields. So let's see. We want to see a total number of people who have accessed different kinds of services. So we do have those services which are different. We have testing, VMMC, and condoms. Those are the three services that we had. So what I could do is I could just use each one of those. Of course, I can just drag and drop it there, or I can create measures, which we like to do. For now, let's just throw them there. So condoms, testing, and VMMC. We could do that. And let me try to grab gender and put it in the legend. So this doesn't necessarily look exactly the way we would want it to look. So, but we're gonna figure out a way to make it work. So I'm gonna grab gender and put it in the, let's see here, scroll and gender, put it in the legend. Looks like it's not possible to put in a legend. And why is that? Because we have series already. So we have series. This is one series, it's another series, it's another series. So it's not possible for us to throw in a gender factor in there. Unfortunately, that's not possible. So we could like break this into 3 different charts if we want to. We could do that. So we could, let's see, we could use small multiples. So I can grab this and put it into small multiples. Let's see. Okay, so it gives us female there and it gives us male on the other side. It's not looking particularly nice, but that's something that we could do. Basically, small multiples is just a way for you to do comparison across categories, and it's gonna create separate actual charts. And as you can see, small multiples works best if you have a lot of space on there, which we don't. So I don't really feel like that's a good idea for that kind of a chart. So I'm gonna remove that for now. So let's remove that. I'm gonna remove gender there, and let's find out another thing that we could do. Let's try to change this into a pie chart. If I throw in a pie chart, it looks good. I think the pie chart looks good. It shows me the total number of people, basically the total number of times those services were accessed, and you can see this in terms of percentage, whereby we can see that condoms were that kind of service that was accessed most, as compared to testing, as compared to voluntary medical male circumcision, which makes super sense. Now, if you think about it, VMMC is voluntary medical male circumcision is only accessed by males. So we could have 2 separate charts that just show that just show males. 2 separate charts for testing and for condoms, and then those separate charts can be broken down by gender. And then we just have one single chart for VMMC because, as you know, that's a service that's only accessible for mail. So I could, if I wanted to, I could do that. So let's move these things around to create some space so we can have that down here. Okay, let's move things around. Okay, you can use your arrow, sorry, the keyboard arrows as well to move things around precisely. And for now, I think I'm just gonna have this. I don't like the labels. One very important thing about creating dashboards is ensuring that your labels make sense. So let me try to do that. Right now, it just says client. Okay, it says client by year, quarter, month, day, and gender. For this one, it doesn't look good. It says some of condoms, some of testing, and some of VMMC. I could change that. So I'm gonna rename the values here so that this is just says condoms, and this just says testing, and this just says VMMC. When it comes to the title, I can go to format your visual. I would choose general, and I'll select on title. I'll remove the default title that we have there, and we're gonna put our own title here. So I can say total number of times each. Okay, total number of times services were accessed. So I think that makes sense. Total number of times services were accessed. So this is total number of times that condoms were accessed, total number of times testing was accessed as compared to VMMC. I think I like that. And let's finish that tab. Choose format painter and paint this one so it gives us the outline. I don't think that outline has worked. But anyway, so down there, I just want to have so much details there. So let's see what details we can have there. I think we should have details about, I think it's going to be like each individual like client and important information that we want to see about them. So I'm going to grab the, let's see, what should we have here? So I think we're just going to use the table and not necessarily the matrix because we're not summarizing. The matrix is when you want to summarize, and the table, you can use it to just output everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the age. I'll put it there. So we have the age. And then let's, I'm going to grab the ID so that, you know, everything shows up without summarizing. So I'll click on the ID and I'll say don't summarize. So when I say don't summarize, everything is just going to just come off like that. So we have basically everyone here. I can, you know, call this ID or client ID like that. And then we have age. Again, I can select that and say we are not summarizing. So we have client IDs. We can sort by clicking that. And then this is age and it's not summarized. Maybe we want the district. Okay, so we can grab the district, put it there. So it says the district for each client. It's good. And what else? What other information we want? Maybe the clinic, we can grab it and put it there. So, oh, this is clinic. Sorry, we want the actual health center rather. Grab the health center, put it there. That's, you know, greater details. And okay, I think we just want to see the total number of services that they accessed. So we're gonna grab the total services column and we'll put it there. So it's just gonna give us the total number of services. I'll click here and say that we don't want to summarize that. Okay, so that's total services accessed. What other information do we want there? We could say, okay, let's grab, oh, the gender, of course. So age, gender, important. Okay, age, gender, district, health center, total services. What else do we want to have? Okay, let's have one more. Let's have satisfaction, so we can have, you know, that satisfaction level right there. So that's great. That's great. And oh yeah, and we have the border as well. It shows up, and this is gonna be for every person. And then finally, let's put a map. I'm gonna grab a map, put it down there. It gets placed right here. Fits perfectly well. We're gonna use the format painter and apply to that. And we have the latitude and longitude, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna use the latitude and the longitude. So here we can do latitude on latitude and longitude again on longitude. And there we go on the bubble side. So here I'm gonna scroll through and show that. Okay, on the bubble size, we can just grab maybe the index and put it on the bubble size, and that gives us the bubble size. Okay, it's just total number of people that we have there. And I'm gonna go to the format your visual and general and turn off the title. Okay, there was a point right here in the water for some reason, and that's why it's not scaling perfectly. Now, there we go. This is a lot of information. Sometimes you want the map to be at the top, but if the map is just adding extra information, it goes right at the bottom like so. And that is my my dashboard. And then what you can do from here, now this is just one page, right? I'm gonna call this overview as my page name. And yeah, let's make it a little bit bigger and resize our chart area. And I think that looks really nice. We still have a lot of like coloring to do. I think these colors play well already with my, play well with my logo and things like that. So I think that's perfectly okay for now. Now, okay, so you can add, for example, I can apply a filter here for Chikwawa, and then what I could do is I could go to, let's see here, on the view tab, I can go on the view tab and select bookmarks, and here we have the bookmarks panel. I can click on add, and then I can call this Chikwawa, okay, Chikwawa. And then I can filter for Lilongwe. And then again, I'll add another bookmark and call that Lilongwe, like that. Okay, and I can select Chikwawa and female. And then I can add another bookmark and I can say Chikwawa females only, like that. And in fact, I can, let's rename this so that is Chikwawa totals. And this, we can call this Lilongwe totals. And then we have Chikwawa females only, and then we can have Chikwawa males only. So you wanna select the filters here so they're active. And here I can say Chikwawa males only. And then we can go Lilongwe with just females. I'll add that. So it's gonna be Lilongwe females only. And finally, I'll choose the males. So we have that view, and then I can add this, and I can say Lilongwe males only. So what we have done there is we are now adding bookmarks, and you can use these bookmarks for navigation. So when I select Chikwawa totals, you can see it just jumps to that specific view where Chikwawa was selected. And if I said Lilongwe totals, it jumps to that view where we have Lilongwe totals. Chikwawa females only, Chikwawa's male only, Lilongwe females only, Lilongwe males only. So instead of going through all of these filters, I don't have to do that, and then I just have to jump to that. I can add another one here and just say default. Okay, so that, and I'll put it right at the top. So that if I want without any filters, that would be the default. So that's the default, Chikwawa, Lilongwe, Chikwawa females, Chikwawa males, Lilongwe females, Ilongo Mails. That's nice. So I have my bookmarks there. That's nice. So I can use that for navigation. You could actually add those bookmarks into the and have it as a navigation element. So I don't have, I don't have like the space for it at the moment. But if you wanted to, I could add the space. And this is how you add the space. Okay, make sure you have deselected anything on the chart, on the dashboard. Make sure everything is deselected. And go to format your report page and go to canvas settings. Right now, my canvas settings is scaled to 16:9. I can click the drop down and choose a different aspect ratio, for example, 4:3, which basically cuts things. I can choose a later format if I want this to be printed, or I can choose custom. Let me go back to 16:9 first, and then go to custom. When you go to custom, you can now change the height and width information. So my height is 720 pixels by 1280 pixels, which is good size for screens. But if I want to increase the height, I can do so. So for example, here, instead of 720, I can say, okay, let's have that as 850 pixels. And that gives me here some more space down below here. All right. And that gives me, the chance to maybe add some navigation elements if I wanted to. So I can add some navigation elements down here. All I have to do is click and drag around to select everything. So let's make sure everything is selected. And then I'm going to move things down, move this down like so. And that creates some space at the top. And I can use that space maybe to add some navigation elements, for example. So let's add some navigation elements and make this look, something a little bit different. So you can go to insert, and here, right now, we just have one page. If I had multiple pages, I just want to show you here, we have only one page. So it's going to be a little bit weird to add that navigation element, but I just want to show you so you can know how to do that. If I had a second page, let's say that, let's say this is clients as a, like summary of all the clients. And then here, let's say I have information about clinics as a different page. What I would do here is I could add, I go to buttons. So click on the drop down on buttons. When you click on the drop down on buttons, you have this section called Navigator. And you can see we have Page Navigator and then we have Bookmark Navigator. If I select Page Navigator, it's gonna create this navigation bar or navigation element that allows me to jump between the pages. So when I click there, it jumps to the specific page based on the pages that I have here. So this is nice because it's automatic. So every time I add a new page, it's gonna be added on the navigation, and it has so much formatting options. If I go to the shape, in the shape area, I can choose so many shape areas. Like I can choose arrows. I can make it look like chevrons like this. I can make it look like hexagons or pentagons. If you feel like, crazy, you could do that. You can make it rectangles or rounded rectangles if that's what you want, or snip tabs. You can see basically what's going on. And then you can even change the styles. And on the styles, you can choose that way, whether you want to apply the style to the default state, state, or you want to apply the styles only when you hover over the the area, or you want to apply whatever settings here when this gets pressed or when it's actually selected. So you can change all of those things. So as you can see, gives you granular control. But I don't have pages. I'm actually just going to delete the pages that I have here because I don't have any pages. But you can have now, let me remove this. On here, you can have the bookmark navigator. And as you can see, we have bookmarks, which I added on the bookmarks here. And if I wanted to, like, I could use that as a navigation element. Okay, it doesn't look good there, but you might want, if you have a few bookmarks, you might want to do something like that. It will look nice. For example, if I choose default, then it just goes back to default. If I go to Chikwawa totals, then it changes the filter. So I'm looking at Chikwawa totals, Lilongwe totals, Chikwawa females only, Chikwawa males only, Lilongwe females only, Lilongwe males only. So this, okay, using the just different kinds of different views depending on the bookmarks that you have, that gives you that kind of different kinds of state. If you don't want this because it's just too much here, then you may want to just use buttons. So you can just click on button and maybe choose a specific button. Like I can choose a blank button. Like this is a blank button right here. It doesn't have any action assigned to it. So I just add a button like so. It has nothing there. Then I can assign an action to it, right? I can give this button an action. Let's see where you give this button an action. So in the shape, okay, we have action down here, and it says turn it's off. If I click to turn it on, and I can basically specify what I want to happen when somebody clicks on that button. So for example, I can say, okay, when that is clicked, go to a bookmark or drill through the data or navigate to a specific page or turn on the Q&A functionality or click or go to a web URL. So for example, if I want this image to, when it's clicked, to go to a specific URL, for example, our website, I can select it, turn the action on, and here choose that I want the web URL, and here I can go to our website, so hscons.datafordev.com. So when somebody clicks this Data4Dev button, or rather image, it's gonna take them to our website. While for this button, I can say, okay, for that, I want to go to a bookmark, and I want the bookmark to be, for example, the default, so which basically clears everything, or I want this to go to Chikwawa totals. So you can specify what you want that button to say or to do, and you can basically, you have the style options here, you have the rotation, the shape. It's a rectangle. You can choose all of the other shapes we looked at, like pews and all of that. Right now it doesn't have a title. You can turn on the title and type in the title there, which is going to give you the title at the top. That's what you want. I'll turn this title off, and you do have, okay, you have things like titles and subtitles and all of that stuff. You have header icons, which you can turn on or off. You have an effect. For example, the background, like I can change the background of that element, so it's a specific color. For example, it doesn't look really nice. I'm gonna remove that. But basically, just showing you can add like visual border, you can add shadows, but that's being applied to the specific thing there. I can see people are certainly enjoying this, but as you can see, when this has been clicked, it actually has an action linked to it. I can put a text box here and actually type what I want this to say. So for example, I can say this is default like so, and then I resize this and just put this inside of that. Okay, like I've said, we're just doing this a little bit quicker here because of time, but as you can see, there's basically, that didn't look very nice. Okay, so this needs to be resized. And yeah, so basically, if I click on this, it's going to trigger the action that I've assigned to that specific button. So that, we're gonna put this together, especially when we look at the real-time dashboard we're gonna be creating with data straight from Kobo Toolbox. But for now, I just wanted to show you that in terms of how you can add different kinds of elements and different kinds of interactivity there. And basically, actions can be added to anything. It can be, it can be text, it can be image, or it can be, the specific button that you can add here. You have, the bookmarks, and then you have different shapes. You can just add a shape, and then the shape is going to like have an action related to it. You can have an image. I can put a text box here, for example, for a button and say Chikwawa only, and then I'm going to resize this, put this right on the center, and then I'm going to make that bold, and I'm gonna go to effects and turn on the border like so. I'm gonna go to properties and change the padding settings to maybe 10 pixels or around, like we have seen. Okay, just to center things nicely there. And there we, not like that. Okay, like this. And remember, we have a visual border, so that it looks like a rectangle. And then on the settings as well, you can add other things like the shadow if you want and things like that. Do you have access to recorded sessions after the webinar? Only people who are on the Pro Bundle do have access to the recorded sessions. So if you would like to have access to recorded sessions, just buy our Pro Bundle and you're going to have access to that. And that's